little building secret that no one seems to talk about is lighting in Minecraft and how much of a difference it can make in your project, especially when you use shaders. But even without them, good lighting can turn any build into something special. Today, I'll be showing you over 10 lighting ideas which will greatly improve your builds. These include some wall lights, some ceiling lights, and even some outside pole lights. That's right, sometimes I build outside. So, let's just jump right into it. So to get us started here in this video, I couldn't think of a better room to check out than the Nether portal tunnel room, because this one has a lot of different little lighting ideas, which I think really make it cool, because without them, it's kind of just a big gray square with a purple rectangle in the center. So if I back up here, you will see slowly but surely some lava falling down, lighting up the space. And if I hide the toolbar here, you'll see it even better. And there's also these candles on either side of me, which give it kind of like that mystical effect. And what I really like about using candles like this is it kind of shows that lighting can also be an architectural element. This was kind of inspired by the candles in Hogwarts, you know, like the Great Hall with the candles floating in the air on the first day of school. I think it looks really cool, and it kind of adds a little mystical element to this room. And it also gives some needed light, because this path otherwise is extremely dark all the time. And of course the lava, which just has a bit of motion, and it's kind of like that old school Minecraft lighting technique. When I was a kid, I used to use lava all the time, and I think this is one of the only places in this world that still uses lava lighting, but I love it. Speaking of love, this is a room I can never get enough of, and it is full of different little lighting ideas that I want to show you, starting off with some really obvious ones like the glowberries. These are honestly, just my go-to spam for ceilings and walls and stuff, just because they look so good. I love the green texture. It's one of my favorite colors, and I think it's one of the more unique lighting styles in the game. And a really fun fact about these is that you can actually shear them so that they stop growing. You don't even need string under them, and I love that. And of course, we have the under map lighting. So with shaders, it just gives it off a beautiful little glow, and that makes it look really important and really stand out, especially when you're coming down the stairs. But there is one more subtle lighting trick that I use in this area, which you probably wouldn't have noticed if I hadn't pointed it out, and that is under the trapdoors. I like to dig down just about 3 blocks and drop some frog lights down there, and what that does is it actually almost doesn't reveal that there's light here. It just kind of looks like there's a bit of a glow, and I really like doing that because it's a really subtle way of just making your base absolutely spawn proof, and that way you don't have to worry about a creeper blowing up your insanely grindy projects. Those were some pretty simple ideas. Here's a more, I guess, structured one that you could just take and use, and I really like building these lanterns like this. So basically it's a lantern, a wall, and a copper lightning rod, and now with the update there's so many more options for this. But I really like building stuff like this because it gives it more of like an architectural feel and more importance to the lighting, and it's a really neat style. You can change out the colors, you can change out the blocks, but the shape is really cool. I love using, I guess you'd call them micro blocks, but they're not really micro blocks, but you know what I mean. Just blocks that aren't full or aren't like a fence is basically what I mean. But this was a quick one. Let's move on to something a little bit more crazy and insane that I built recently. So we head down here, and of course, because my base is full of logic, I have built a dragon egg shrine. And by the way, the egg does give off some lighting, but we'll talk about that later. But right beside my dragon egg shrine, what would go well with a nice castle like this other than a cyberpunk city? And I'm definitely gonna come in here and change out these paintings to some of the new paintings, because there are some really nice ones that I'm excited to use. But this place is full of lighting ideas, starting with these like tubular lighting. These could be used in a variety of different styles, and what's really nice about it is it's really subtle and has a kind of a cool glow, and it makes it look kind of mechanical and mysterious. And if we keep going here, of course, with vanilla tweaks, you can do some pretty crazy movement stuff with lighting. This doesn't actually generate any light, but it does give a lot of motion, which I really like. And with the step 2 here, it just gives off a really cool futuristic look, and you could probably implement this into a bunch of different styles. And of course, a bunch of crazy signage everywhere. Most of this is sea lanterns, but I used a lot of different lighting blocks, such as the end rods as well, and some frog lights, of course. And if we keep going down, when you mix these with random droppers and observers and stuff, you can make some really cool future machine looking stuff, and I find that really fun and a cool way to light up a wall instead of just cheesing it with torches or lanterns or just spamming these end rods around. So this place has a lot of really crazy lighting and a lot of crazy blocks, and I really want to build more of this, especially now with the new copper. But let's hop on the server and see some more recent stuff. And now, out with the new, in with the old, back in a more medieval style, which I honestly like a little bit more. You can also build some really crazy chandeliers like this. These are really simple to make. With the fences and the different colored lanterns, you can make some pretty crazy looking stuff. I quite particularly like these ones because they're very big and imposing, and when you have a really high ceiling, they work out pretty good. So let's just go into first person here and take a little look how it looks from down here. It looks really complicated, but really all it is a plus sign of blocks with a few down, and then some lanterns and fences tied to all of them. And of course in here, you probably hadn't noticed, but I did use some underground lighting as well. Anyway, this was just a quick one here on the server, which by the way, you can join, IP in the description. So how many micro blocks can you fit into a 2-block space? I think this is the answer, and it's also a lamp. So what this is basically is a flower pot with an azalea and a lantern underneath. I recently started using this design all over the place because it is really simple, and I find it adds a lot of detail to a otherwise very static wall. Now the only issue with this one, and you can't say I didn't warn you, is it actually doesn't touch the back wall. It just kind of floats no matter what you do. So I definitely recommend building this one in an area where you can't see the back, because otherwise if I have a flower pot on me, well, I don't, but if I did, I would show you. It won't work. Like, it'll just float. Actually, we can just break it and I can show you, but it just floats like a pretty fair distance from the wall. So to me, that kind of ruins the illusion just a little bit. But regardless, it is a very neat and simple design that you could put in your world right now. Out here at my observatory, we have the next little lighting idea, which is these neat little tiki torches. I really like them because they kind of look like micro spires, and you can also make a pretty cool fence design with these. If we take a little gander here with the fence gate on the bottom, it makes these ones fat, and then it does this really cool little repeating pattern. I really like making these, and I've been trying to include more of this spire design in my world. This next one had me going off the rails. I'm so sorry, but this design I really like because it's actually quite simple to create, but has a lot of different depth values, which I think are crucial to a overly detailed build. So basically all it is a nice little anvil as a base, and then I like using the jungle just because the reddish tones match the copper, and then of course a slab and some other reddish wood with 2 lanterns. And I've been using these posts just to decorate my train track, which if you haven't seen that video, you probably would have noticed, man, he has built a not usable nighttime track because it was not lit up whatsoever. Well, guess what? Now it is. A really old school idea that you can use to light up an area is to use fire, particularly in a tunnel. I used to do this all the time as a kid, and I feel like all the Minecraft greats used to do this in their nether tunnels, in their bases, and everywhere. And in this little spot down here, I just wanted to add it in and have a little homage to it. I think it's a really cool little way of lighting, and I just wish, okay, hear me out. One idea, if I were president of Minecraft, that I would add to the game is to have the fire like this actually flicker different light values around, sort of like Shaders does with a lot of different stuff with the ambient lighting, but actually have it have like a little glow effect that fades in and out, kind of like the lantern does when you stare at it too long. So if you want that cool lighting idea to happen, be sure to vote for me in the next mob vote. Anyway, let's check out this next cool little design here that I totally came up with, and that is the dragon lamp. Now, fun fact, this lamp actually gives off light and is probably one of my favorite designs. It's too bad you can't get that many of them in a regular world, because if you could, I would definitely spam these all over my world. But in my world, of course, I set up a shrine. This is the server. We have a bunch of eggs. They've been duped, and I really like the look of this. And what I find really funny about this build is this is literally just a little shack. It's my house, fake, and it's super small, and there's just like probably the most expensive lamp in the game right in the house. Maybe that lamp would fit better in a castle like this, where it does look a little bit more opulent with a lot more riches to be found, including my parrot Keaton. But the next lighting idea is this cool little lamp up here. So basically all it is a copper lightning rod, a moss block, and then some trapdoors with the glow berries on it. And you can even determine the length of these to make them shorter or longer, depending on your various wishes. And I really like the look of these lamps. And you can even add the spiraling blue goop vine from the Nether to make it a little bit more fancy and visually appealing, which I have done here. And of course, the dangly danglies everywhere. That's a really easy way to light stuff. If you're feeling lazy and cheap and you just want to use a few blocks to light things up, I have spammed them all over the place up there. Here's another lighting idea for you. When you press a button and the lights on the ceiling come on, it can look really cool and impressive. And of course, in the case of this build, it makes almost no difference, but it was really fun to add this redstone and sneak it in here, and it gives this room a little bit more of a dynamic feel. And speaking of ceiling lighting decoration, which as you can tell I really like and am passionate about, I love doing these dangly lamps here, where you just select a few different lanterns at different lengths with some fences, some chains, and some iron bars, and you can just kind of chuck them in, and it gives off a really cool lighting effect in a staggered kind of way. And of course, as you can see, it keeps the room pretty open, which I appreciate, especially when you're playing poker and you want to see what other people are doing, because who doesn't love playing poker in their single player world? So that's gonna do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to have some more ideas, be sure to check out the server and the Discord. Both are in the description. There are some crazy good ideas in there. But until next time, have a great day. Bye bye.